Gerry The Monk Hutch was found not guilty of the murder of David Byrne at the Regency and has walked out of court a free man and is believed to be heading away to live out his days, probably in a villa somewhere. Shane, what did you make of it?
There's a lot of questions that arise out of this case because, it was described as the gangland crime case trial of the century. And the reality is the central figure has walked free. So there will be huge questions about the state's case, questions about accepting Jonathan Dowdall's evidence as a witness, a ruthless, base, callous criminal, as the judge described him. There'll also be questions, Ciara, and I know you're quite exercised about this, as to whether the case and the state aimed too high.
I think there are questions as to the strategy that the state pursued here. Conceivably, Gerry Hutch could have been locked up yesterday for about 10 years. We know that the court has said that it was clear he was involved in this, whether he organised it, whether he ordered it, whether he was involved in the clean-up of it, that he was involved in possession of the firearms that were used in this. So there were things he could have been charged with that they could have made stick. Could they have given him 5 years in prison, 10 years in prison, something along those lines? Surely that would have been better than us going after him in a case that said he was actually there and he was the guy pulling the trigger and now he's walked free because that case didn't stand up in court.
And worth remembering what the court was satisfied that members of the Hutch family acting as an organised crime group were responsible for the Regency attack and the murder
and
of
he
David
is
Byrne.
the head of that family and so there was clearly things that he could have been done from. Nobody has said that he was completely absolved of this, that he was completely uninvolved in this. They just said it was never proven in court that he was there with the gun in his hand pulling the trigger, and that is why he has walked. And that to me says that we went after him on the wrong thing. It's like that thing Al Capone was done for tax evasion. Get Gerry the Monk Hutch on whatever you can get him on and put him behind bars, and instead he's walking free and making a mockery, I suppose, of the fact that everyone knows he's involved in this in some way, some manner or form, but now he's a free man.
Political questions, I think it has to be said also for Sinn Féin. Now, I actually think people are focusing on the wrong thing in relation to Sinn Féin. There's a bit questions about whether there was donations from the Monk or support from the Hutch family for Sinn Féin. I think that's all missing the point. I don't think there's anything behind those stories at all. But where the real question for me lies is the evidence that came out in relation to who in Sinn Féin knew what about Jonathan Dowdall and when they knew this man described it in the case yesterday as a ruthless, base, callous criminal, when they knew he was involved, if they did know he was involved in crime. Sinn Féin have said they had no idea, no inkling. They wouldn't let him anywhere near the place. It has emerged in testimony in this case. Fionn Sheahan talking about it today in the Irish Independent, that a senior Sinn Féin staff member, somebody who served as director of elections in Dublin in the 2014 local elections, I think I said 2011 earlier on, but 2014 local elections, confronted Jonathan Dowdall, this is before his election as a Sinn Féin councillor, about his involvement in a gun attack on his uncle's home. Like, it's extraordinary.
He accused him of shooting at his uncle's house.
We spoke to Barry Ward of Fine Gael in the last hour. He says it's inconceivable.
What he's alleged to have said, Brian Keane, is you riddled your uncle's house with bullets.
Barry Ward says it's inconceivable that this director of elections didn't then report on these comments or the fact that he had this discussion with Jonathan Dowdall to more senior members of Sinn Féin. I think there are questions that Sinn Féin need to answer about this. And
of course, the other question that a lot of people will be asking, particularly the people of North Inner City Dublin and North County Dublin, but also around the country, what does this mean now? Gerry the Hutch has walked from prison. Not guilty was the verdict. What's that going to mean for gangland crime now in this country? Because clearly it is easier to run an organisation from outside prison than from inside prison, although apparently not impossible from inside prison. But what's that going to mean for the crime landscape of this country now?